Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we're here for another poetry discussion, which will appear in the Poetry Discussion playlist here on the channel. Today's poem comes to us from John Donne, one of the best known, which if you've never heard of John Donne, and there's a very high likelihood that you have not, he's not a mainstream quote-unquote poet, but he was among the last class, maybe, of poets that were considered mainstream. He is one of the better known metaphysical poets, and today's poem is known as The Sun Rising. Now, if you do know a little bit about John Donne, but you have never heard of this poem, you're probably asking yourself, how can we relate The Sun Rising to Hubba Hubba? And we're going to get into that. The Sun Rising. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus through windows and through curtains call on us? Must to thy motions lovers' seasons run? Saucy, pedantic wretch, go chide late schoolboys and sour prentices. Go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride. Go call country ants to harvest offices. Love, all alike, no season nor knows nor clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. Thy beams, so reverend and strong, why shouldst thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink, but that I would not lose her sight so long? If her eyes have not blinded thine, look, and tomorrow late tell me whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou left'st them, or lie here with me. Ask for those kings whom thou saw'st yesterday, and thou shalt hear, all here in one bed lay. She's all states and all princes, I, nothing else is. Princes do but play us compared to this. All honors mimic, all wealth alchemy. Thou, son, art half as happy as we, in the worlds contracted thus. Thine age asks ease, and since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. Shine here to us, and thou art everywhere. This bed thy center is, these walls thy sphere. So we have essentially a poem calling out the sun, saying, bruh, take a hike. We're laying here with each other. We don't need you. You don't need to come around. We don't need your shining warmth. We have each other to keep us warm. We have each other's company. We don't need yours. We don't need your prying eye. We were here doing just fine, and all of a sudden, the sun had to rise. Now, a little bit, this would have, especially in the world of John Donne, been scandalous, because you rose with the sun. You weren't up before it. There was no work to be done without the sun out. There's no electricity in the world of John Donne. We're talking someone who was contemporary with William Shakespeare, with Christopher Marlowe. We're talking someone who was around before electricity, before you had your wake-up call, your alarm set on your phone. John Donne being around to chide the sun, being awake to chide the sun, does not mean that he woke up. It means that he never went to bed. Well, it means he never went to sleep, anyway. So, the thing that I want to talk about here is not so much this idea, not so much the metaphysical idea. I'm not here to talk about necessarily the main thrust of the poem, but I would like to take this in more of a nihilistic turn. So, In nihilism, and just bear with me, I know that sometimes it gets old hearing me talk about nihilism because I try to inject it in so many different things, but here we have a poem where our speaker is saying, I don't care about conventions. I don't care about who's doing what and when and what the expectations are. I don't care about the schedule for schoolboys. I don't care about an apprentice getting to work. What I care about is the world that I have constructed, the world that I have come to know, the world that I have come to know through my lover. This is someone building their own morals, values, expectations of life through things that they hold valuable. This, in my opinion, is what we are to do as human beings. We are not to look around us and try to keep up with the Joneses. We are not to try to keep up with our neighbors who are doing X, Y, and Z, having X, Y, and Z career. They have 2.5 kids in a car. It's not about that. What John Donne is proposing here, outside of this being a love poem, or at least a lover's poem, is saying that we should all construct the world that we want to have. So much so that even the universe itself can get bent. The sun rises, or rather, we spin around the sun in a way that makes the sun rise. Yes, that's true, but does he have to do it every morning? I mean, come on. I've got stuff to do. This principle can be, and in my opinion, should be, the principle of life. We will construct around us the world that we choose. How deep does this principle go? How much of society should we forsake in in the pursuit of the world that we want? Should we chastise others for just playing the game? Should we be upset with those schoolboys and sour prentices that are just going about their own lives, doting in the world that has been constructed around them? I don't know. I don't know. There's an awful lot of tension in the world. It's tempting to say today. So in yesterday's poem, London 1802, I sort of, if you weren't here for that one, sort of went into a little bit of depth about how the mores of our time are misconstrued, in that every time has its own mores, and probably not the whole world was acting by them, right? So we can look around us and see, oh, we think the world is falling apart. We think it's all going to pot. But the truth is, kind of it's always all been going to pot. Kind of it's always all been messed up. So if we find our values, and here we have John Donne stating very clearly that it is his lover which is his value, should we be content in that world? Should we be content with everyone else having their own take, having their own experience? Yeah, I think so. But we have here John Donne, who is going so far as to say, not only do I not care about the rigmarole, not only do I not care about all of this other stuff going on, the universe itself can get bent so long as I get to lay in bed with my lover. That's real love. That's all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. There's poetry on the channel every Monday, so if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more poetry in the future. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.